There's a man who wrote himself a check for $10 million when he had nothing. A man who lived in a van and manifested millions. A man who was told he'd never make it, then became the highest paid actor in Hollywood. A man who achieved everything he dreamed of and discovered it wasn't the answer. This man's name is Jim Carrey, and his real story will make you believe in the impossible. Hey everyone, today we're not just telling a success story. We're revealing the power of belief. The story of a 15-year-old janitor who refused to accept his reality and literally wrote himself into existence. This isn't about luck. This is about a man who decided his future when he had nothing and somehow made the universe agree. Let's dive in. James Eugene Carrey was born January 17, 1962, in Ontario, Canada. Young Jim learned early to use comedy as survival, making people laugh to mask family pain. His father, Percy, was a struggling musician who took a safe accounting job to support the family. Jim watched his father's soul die in that office every day. Percy taught him, you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. When Jim was 12, everything collapsed. His father lost the job. The family lost their home. They moved into a Volkswagen camper van. The Carrey family, mother, father, 4 children, living in a van trying to survive. At 15, Jim got a job as a janitor and security guard. After full days of high school, he'd work 8-hour shifts cleaning toilets. He'd get home at midnight, sleep a few hours, then back to school. A 15-year-old kid, exhausted, humiliated, watching his father broken by poverty. That's when Jim decided he would become so successful his family would never suffer again. Through comedy. At 16, Jim dropped out of high school. He was performing stand-up in Toronto clubs, and he was good. His act was different. He didn't tell jokes, he became characters. His face contorted impossibly. Audiences were mesmerized, but Toronto wasn't enough. In 1983, 21-year-old Jim arrived in Los Angeles with nothing but ambition. Los Angeles destroyed him. Night after night at the Comedy Store, audiences sat in silence. His physical comedy, his rubber face, none of it worked. He was too weird, too different. You'll never make it, established comedians said. You're too strange, nobody wants this. Jim was broke. He lived in a van again. Different city, same nightmare. He'd perform, get rejected, then sit in his van wondering if he'd made a terrible mistake. One night in 1985, completely defeated, Jim drove to Mulholland Drive overlooking Los Angeles. He looked down at the city rejecting him, and he did something that would change his life. Sitting in his van, Jim pulled out his checkbook. He wrote himself a check for $10 million. He dated it, Thanksgiving 1995, 5 years in the future. Memo, for acting services rendered. It wasn't a joke. Jim Carrey decided he was going to will this into existence. He kept that check in his wallet. Every day he looked at it. Every rejection, every failed audition, he'd pull it out and remind himself, this is my future. People called him crazy, but Jim didn't care. You can fail at playing it safe, so why not believe in something impossible? In 1990, Jim got his break in Living Color, a sketch comedy show. His characters, Fire Marshal Bill, Vera DeMilo, got noticed. Hollywood was paying attention. Then came Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Every major actor passed, too stupid, they said. Jim saw himself in it. He took it for $350,000. February 1994, Ace Ventura premiered. Critics hated it. Audiences loved it. $107 million worldwide. Jim was suddenly a star. 6 months later, The Mask, $351 million worldwide. December 1994, Dumb and Dumber premiered. For this film, he was paid exactly $10 million. Late 1995, around Thanksgiving, Jim reached into his wallet. That old worn check dated Thanksgiving 1995. $10 million for acting services rendered. It had come true. Almost to the exact date, Jim placed that check in his father's coffin. Percy had died weeks before, never fully seeing his son's success, but Percy had believed. When everyone called Jim crazy for that check, Percy believed. That check stayed with Percy, a promise kept. Jim had manifested fame and fortune. He became the first actor to earn $20 million for a single film. The Cable Guy, 1996. He was the biggest comedy star on earth. And he was miserable. Deep depression hit. The fame felt empty. The money didn't heal childhood wounds. The manic characters he played were masks hiding his pain, just like making his parents laugh in that van. In the 2000s, Jim questioned everything. He studied philosophy, Buddhism, spirituality. He started painting. He realized the check wasn't the magic. The magic was belief. The power was deciding what you wanted and refusing any other reality. Today, Jim talks with wisdom from living both extremes, poverty and fame, failure and success. I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. But the check wasn't magic. What made him rich was the unwavering belief it represented. When sleeping in a van, being rejected, being told he was too weird, that check reminded him he'd already decided his future. Jim Carrey proved, your circumstances don't define your destiny. A kid in a van can become Hollywood's highest paid actor. A 15-year-old janitor can manifest $10 million by 33. But he also proved success isn't happiness, money isn't peace, fame isn't fulfillment. That's why Jim stepped back from Hollywood at his peak. Why he paints, writes, speaks about consciousness. He's searching, not for success anymore, but for something deeper. The check was just a tool. The real magic was always inside him. That's Jim Carrey, the manifester, the believer, the kid who refused to let poverty define him. He wrote himself a check for $10 million with nothing, and impossibly, the universe wrote back. What would you write on your check? What's your $10 million dream? Comment below. If this inspired you, like and share with someone who needs to believe in something impossible. Subscribe for more true stories that remind us why belief matters. Remember, you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. See you in the next one.